Everybody, good afternoon and welcome to the CanDo podcast, where life is all about what we can do, not what we can't. And I am fired up today to have our guest, Gabriel Joseph. He is a touring professional on the pickleball circuit, a 5-ranked player in the world in pickleball. He transitioned over from tennis, now a pickleball fiend. And I'm just excited to have him on the show today to talk about his experience, his journey with pickleball, and just to hear more about his story. He's an incredible young man, teaches the tennis circuit, teaches pickleball, influencing young kids to do better in life and in school. And he's just very fired up, has a great energy, a real can-do spirit. And without further ado, Gabriel, welcome to the show. It's great to have you, buddy. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you for having me. I clap it up.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here, and it's been really nice, just speaking with you these last couple of days, and it's just an honor and here to be in your presence, even via Zoom.
Yeah, it's great. Zoom is not bad. It's not like an in-person meeting, but we'll do what we can and make the best out of it. Like I said in the opening, you've transitioned your career into number 5 player in the world in pickleball, and pickleball has really taken off here. And I would say the last 5-6 years is really when it's become a popular sport. And please correct me if I'm wrong. It's been around for quite. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, it's been around for a while. If I'm not mistaken, I think almost like the 60s or 70s. But I would say, yeah, in the last, I would say probably 6-7 years. I think if you like YouTube it, I think kind of the first couple of US Opens and stuff where I think like around 2014, 2015, and it's obviously just we've seen it grow and evolve since then, and it's only getting bigger, I would say, for sure.
Great. And what would you say, you've been playing tennis for, basically since you were 4 years old, I understand. Mm-hmm. What would you say is the biggest difference between tennis and pickleball?
The biggest difference I would say is probably like the change of pace, the finesse, the angles. It's a lot more kind of touchy-feely, if that makes sense. It's like I tell all the clients I work with, it's a different set of skills. Like it's kind of funny. You take a tennis player and you show them pickleball. You see 4 people dinking a ball in the kitchen. They're kind of like, oh, why doesn't this person just hit it hard at the person right across from them? And sometimes they don't understand like the trajectory of the net and the distance between, the 2 players. It's physically almost like not possible. Either the ball's going to fly out, you might hit the person. So overall, it's a different set of skills you have to learn. But like most sports, it's very transitional. So as I was talking to you earlier, I have a heavy background in tennis, paddle tennis, and obviously now pickleball. So all those different strokes, footwork, the shot selection, the movement, it all translates from one to the other. And then it's just kind of mastering the craft of playing certain shots, certain angles at those right times. It's like, should I speed this ball up at that time? Should I slow it down? And vice versa. So I would say it's more just, shot quality, shot selection, and different changes of pace. And I think finesse is almost one word if I had to sum it up.
Certainly. And what life, one thing that I love about sports is we can equate so many things in life to sports. What has sports taught you most about life and vice versa?
Oh man, so much. I'm a big quotes guy. So I think one off the top of my head, and I think this is just kind of describes me personally as a person, is just like I'm big on energy. You kind of reap what you sow, and what you give in, you will kind of receive. Me, I'm a big hustler. So it's like if you ever watch my matches, I don't like to toot my own horn. I like to be humble, but people tell me like I'm the fastest on the tour. Some people call me Hot Wheels. Like I've just known. So I think the beauty about tennis and these racket sports and individual sports is, like you said, as in life, it not only shows who you are like as an athlete, but also as a person. So it's like if this person, for instance, you play tennis yourself, if I'm playing you and you're hitting balls close to the line, and let's say they're in and I'm calling them out, it kind of shows, well, maybe this person's kind of a cheater in life. That maybe they take that shortcut to want to get ahead.
Right.
You know, stuff like that, or just how much of like etiquette they show. Kind of, you know, tennis is a gentleman's sport. But I would say for me, it's just man, so many, but I don't know, man. That's a good question. Maybe just as cheesy and cliche as it is, just never give up, you know, never fold, as I like to say. One of my favorite quotes, just never bend, never fold. Or I forgot this one quote, but it was like, instead of trying to build like a wall overnight, you know, lay a brick every day and eventually like you'll have a brick wall, you know. So I like that. And it's just another cheese, which is like life, you know, it's not a it's not, life's not a sprint, it's a marathon, you know. So
Exactly. Or, you know, and I also say success breeds success, positivity breeds positivity. And one of the things you have on your stat sheet here that I like to talk about is big proponent of energy and positive thoughts. Talk about that as you prepare for a match, and just, even if things don't go your way, often we are our toughest critic. I know that I am, but I'm always preaching positivity and to take, even in the most difficult situation, taking the positive out of it and going from there. Talk about that as it relates to you, and your mindset as you're preparing a match or even during a match, Gabriel.
yeah, I think, you know, what's funny is like I almost relate it to, you know, when you're like a kid and you're like, whatever, let's just say shooting basketball hoops and you're counting down, you're like 3, 2, 1, he hits the shot, he wins the game, like he hits the buzzer
Yes.
beater. I think kind of weird, like not, I believe heavy in manifestation. So I think that a lot of the situations, you know, before going into a match, so I guess you can call it preparation. I think a lot of the situations are already handled before you go into the actual tournament. You're just implementing what you've practiced, if that makes sense. So, um, you know, it's like there's that quote, it's like big time players make big time plays. So, for me, you know, like I was telling you earlier, it's like I think I'm my biggest critic and I have the most expectations out of myself. But I think you kind of have to, you know, just put in the hard yards, you know, not give up. And you know, I think also on the flip side, though, you have to sometimes accept that like failure is okay, though, you know, because that's the only way you're going to learn. So as much as we all want to win and, you know, like you said, put that positive energy and make the best out of everything. Sometimes like even when you've given your all and you lose, that's still like you may not have won the battle, but you like won the war, if that makes sense. Because sometimes you have to, if you never lose, you know, you're not gonna be able to learn. You're always going to think you're perfect. So you have to also accept defeat, you know, learn what you did right and learn what you did right and did wrong and what you could have done better. And then you implement it going forward, you know. And if you look at like my pickleball career, like I've had pretty good wins. I've had, I would say 2 bad losses, but it's like, for the most part, you know, I watch a lot of film and the players I've lost to and beaten, you know, I always take a little bit from everything and like, okay, when I play this person, I need to do this and that and execute and do those P's and Q's. But, you know, to your question for what I do, you know, to prep is just practicing a lot, making sure I'm eating right, you know, making sure I'm getting some keto crisp, you know, and,
Very good plug there.
yes, and you know, just you know, you got to train hard. You know, like we just said earlier, you're going to get what you put in, and I've been a prime factor of that. Sometimes I don't put in as much effort, not effort, practice as much as some of these other pros, and they've caught me a few times. You know, and I go back to the drawing board, and I'm like, okay, I need to work on, you know, my third shot drop. I need to work on my, you know, kitchen game. I need to work on this, that, and the third. So, but you know, I think to answer your question, you got to try to make the best out of everything and don't get too down on yourself. And, you know, I'm a big, I'm probably one of the main components of this because like I said earlier, I'm one of my hardest critics and I've known, you know, to honestly beat myself more than I let my opponents beat me. So, I hope that kind of answered your question.
Sure. Talk to me about, like, how did you get exposed to pickleball, and why pickleball? It's obviously been great for you, and it's been a nice niche for you
Mhm.
as you transition from regular tennis, which you're still heavily involved in, to really making this a career. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so shout out to our buddy Eric Lee. We were playing we were just playing a little doubles practice match, just friendly rec. It was me, my good friend Jesse Irving, who's also a fellow pickleball pro, and our buddy Scott Crandall, who's also a pickleball pro. He's on the senior tour. And at the time, I told you yesterday, we were playing a lot of paddle tennis at the time, just for fun down at Venice Beach. I'm sure you've seen the courts.
Yes.
And yeah, right next to Muscle Beach. So we were, our little, core group, we used to play live ball, which is like, basically, I'm sure you've heard of it. It's like king of the court, organized king of the court tennis, where you have like 6 to 7 people. So twice a week, we would play down in Mandeville Canyon. And then every Saturday, we used to play live ball. We used to grab a bite to eat, and then we used to go down to Venice and play paddle. But anyways, to go back to the story, our buddy Eric Lee, one day, he was like, he had a friend, this girl, Christine McGrath, who's still a pro. And he was like, she played college tennis, and now she's playing pickleball, and she's actually making some money doing it. So our buddy Jesse got kind of hooked on the concept of it. So she dragged us out to play. And like I was telling you yesterday, it's like a couple times we played, I thought it was kind of whack. I was just like, what is this game? Like, I thought it was for old people, the typical kind of stereotypical things that people think about pickleball. And then the same thing, I was like, why don't they just hit it hard? And I'm like, I don't want to play this soft, slow game. Like, I want to play like basically tennis on the pickleball court. And she's like, no, you need to be patient, stick with the game. Like, build a little shot tolerance, have patience. You're going to be good at the game, And then, she kind of dragged me along. Then we started playing tournaments, and then the inner competitiveness came out of me. And then, like I was telling you, it's kind of for us tennis players that could never really make it. I mean, I was nowhere near a pro level, but it's kind of like redemption and a second chance, if you say so.
It's a great way to compete and to be involved, and look at how well you've done in such a short time, 5th in the world, and now you travel the States and play many tournaments. What's your next tournament coming up?
Yeah, so my next tournament is the PPA Masters at La Quinta down in Palm Springs is my next event. And then I have another one the following weekend in Arizona down in Mesa. And then that following weekend or two, I have another one down in Arizona at I think it's called Santa Fe or Grand Santa Fe, somewhere in Arizona. And then after that will be the big nationals tournament at Indian Wells, where they have the pro tennis event. So
wow, that is great.
Yeah, so I got a pretty full-fledged schedule for the end of the year. This is like the home run stretch.
And how many years have you been on the tour?
So I started in, I would say, summer of 19. So we're just past summer 21. So about like 2 years, I would say.
Great. And you've seen a lot. Where do you see the sport going in the future?
Yeah, I mean, like I was saying earlier, it's only growing and getting bigger because it's such an inclusive sport. I think that if I had to put a time frame, I'm going to say maybe 5 years, it'll be an Olympic sport. And I think once, big sponsors come in and put in some money, I think it'll be pretty big. I would say probably close to a tennis level, maybe not at the same level just quite yet because it is so newer, I should say, excuse me. But like I said, we've had it on ESPN a couple times. I've been on ESPN myself, and it's slowly getting there. But I think in the next few years it'll probably be an Olympic sport, and who knows, maybe a college sport. And the sky's the limit, I guess, for this game. So it's only going to grow and evolve.
Right, and aspirations for you as a professional. Obviously, you want to be number one, but I imagine you want to stick with it, of course.
Oh, yeah, definitely going to stick with it. Probably going to ride until the wheels fall off. So,
I love it.
The goal is definitely to, it's funny is like, I go off tangents, but I definitely want to be number one. I definitely want to be number one, but I think one of my goals is to win one of the big tournaments, which would be probably one of the PPA events, because all the big dogs play the PPAs, and the best I've done is second place at one of the PPAs, and then I've gotten a first place and a finalist at the APPs. But those are like what I would consider kind of like major tournaments. So that would be more my goal, and it's funny, like tennis, it's almost like, would you rather win a Grand Slam or would you rather be number one? So for me, I would kind of lean more towards probably the medals and getting, first or second as opposed to being number one, but I'm cool with
Yes.
either one. So
It's just fun to compete and to be out there in a sport that you love and to be able to continue it till the wheels fall off.
exactly.
What advice would you give? One thing that I love about this sport is that people of all ages, it's timeless. You can play whether you're 14 or whether you're 75 or 80. So what advice would you give to somebody that, has heard about the sport and there's all these misconceptions about it, and it's just for old people, like you said, or it's slower and this and that. And you talked about it earlier, so I understand. But what advice would you give to somebody that's kind of looking at the sport and
Mhm.
wants to check it out?
Yeah, I would say, not sound too cliche again. It's like, don't judge a book by its cover. Honestly, like give it a chance. And like you and I were speaking on the phone the other day, it's such an inclusive sport. I mean, I literally just did an hour ago a lesson with one of my tennis clients' mom, who is, I think, mid 70s, and she was awesome. I mean, she was probably like a 3.5 4.0 level, which would be like intermediate, like beginner slash like intermediate. But like, at what age can she do that in any other sport? Like she could probably maybe do it in tennis, but the court's going to get pretty big. She's probably not going to chase as many balls down. It's like she's not going to be playing basketball, or baseball. She's not going to be
Right.
chasing the ball. So that's what I would say. Don't judge a book by its cover. It's very inclusive, and it's a lot of fun. And one thing about this game is it's similar to tennis. It's such a kind of niche community sport. It's such a small world. So you're going to meet super nice people. You're going to meet a variety of people. You're going to meet people from all over the place. So it's great. It's just very inclusive. That's when you and I were speaking on the phone, I was just like, if I had to sum it up in one word, it's inclusive. I told you could get Joe the plumber, who just came off his shift, who has no racket background and could be pretty decent at the game as long as he just has some decent hand-eye and can get a paddle in his hands. So it's very inclusive and it's fun.
I love the inclusive fact of it. Obviously, I'm never going to be a pro tennis player, but the fact that I could be involved in the game, it's opened up a lot of doors for me, and I can equate that to paddle tennis. And there's never in life, you never know, but it's been so great to me, and I met so many wonderful people being able to be on the tennis court and having a sport that you can call your own. And there's so many people like me that just want to be out there and be included, and it's a great feeling, and this sport allows you to do that. And like we talked about, play for many years. Talk
Oh yeah.
about I mean, uh, we talk about you're very fit and you're teaching tennis a lot. Talk about your diet and your workout routine. We're in the food business, so food is very important what we put in our body, and it's really helped me better my life. Talk about how diet and workout has helped and been a major part of your success.
Yeah, well, I study nutrition in school at Cal State Northridge, so I'm big on health and diet. I would say, for me, I mean, I could literally give you my diet. I wake up in the morning, probably around like 7-ish. I have a cup of coffee. I'm a big coffee addict, so
Yeah.
have a little bit of oatmeal granola, maybe a bagel, and if I don't do a bagel, I'll probably do like 3 scrambled eggs, probably some egg whites.
Right.
And then lunchtime, I'll probably do either like chicken or steak and rice, and then or like pasta with some good sauce and like some probably like organic ground turkey. And then dinner, probably like steak and rice or something of that nature, whatever I'm feeling, maybe some quesadillas or something. I'm also kind of on the run, not on the run a lot, but because of my schedule being a teaching pro, it's like I eat breakfast. I'm kind of out of, then I'm at, like, once I'm out of the house, I pretty much don't come back till about 8:39.
Right.
So lunch sometimes might be on the go unless I meal prep it the night before. And then dinner, I will kind of go home, relax a little bit. And then, so that's kind of my diet. But for me, I'm very strict on, I don't do fast food, no junk food. The worst food I would say I would do would maybe be like Chipotle or Subway, but no McDonald's, none of that, no junk. I don't do junk. So that's my number one stay away. That's something I
Right.
don't do. Um, and I'm not really big on sweets or anything. So not really, I don't do ice cream or anything of that nature. Um, the only thing you'll ever maybe see me do is maybe eat like some gummy bears, something like just if I'm low on sugar, that's kind of it. But I love my breads, love my coffee, yogurts I'll do. Like I said, one of the key things I think since high school I really try to implement is just stay away from the junk because it's so easy, when we're kids and
Yeah.
you're in high school, whatever, you're playing basketball, hoops, and then after it's like, what do you guys want to do? Oh, grab some pizza, grab In-N-Out, and it's so easy to fall into that trap. So for
Yeah.
me, it's more trying to stay healthy. And luckily for me, I'm not a picky eater. So like I'll do salmon, I'll do pasta, whatever. I'm pretty flexible. But I definitely try to keep it as clean as possible. Obviously I'm not the most clean, I'm not always gonna eat, super healthy. Obviously, I could always eat more fruits and veggies, but try to keep it pretty clean.
Perfect. Yeah.
Training wise, because I'm on the court so much, for what I do for a living, but I would say I try to delegate at least like 2 to 3 times a week to just practice pickleball. So I'll practice with my buddy Matt Chow. He'll come all the way from Orange County to my club in Calabasas, and we'll just practice some, and we'll go for like 3 hours almost, and grind some out. So that's kind of my practice regimen, and then before before I was living on my own, I used to actually run like 6 miles every day. So I used to be pretty
Wow.
disciplined and run a lot. I haven't been doing that because it just got life's in the way. I got a puppy, got a full-time job, but I'll still try to run here and there. Almost for me personally, I don't know, I can't speak for most. It's also kind of therapeutic just to like throw on my headphones and go for a nice long run. I feel like I can just kind of hear myself think out loud. So I really like to do that for a clear mind. And you were asking me earlier, like about prepping and stuff. You're gonna laugh at this, but I also sometimes like almost put like situations that would happen in a pickleball match, like in my head as I'm running. So I'm like, oh my
Of
God,
course.
I'm up 10-6 in one game, or I come back. And like I said, I play a lot of kind of game situations out in my head as I'm jogging. So that's kind of like one of my almost like superstitions, I would say.
Right. As I was doing research too, I noticed that you have a passion for jewelry. Talk about that.
Yeah, no, I was, ever since I was little, I was like big, influenced by hip hop culture. So I love all the bling, and I've been lucky. All my jewelry is real, so I love jewelry. So eventually,
That's
once some big pickleball dollars come out, the next thing on my bucket list, I want to eventually get a Rolex. So that's the next one on the list.
well, that's a great goal. Who are some of your favorite hip hop artists?
Oh, off the top, I'd probably say Jay-Z is probably the GOAT.
Yes, sir.
Big Drake fan. I love Drake. Drake's the one we talk about in my podcast. I literally grew up, seeing Drake evolve from when he started to now. But I'm also kind of an old head, so it's kind of funny because even though I'm relatively young, I still love, I love Biggie, I love Pac, I love Nas. Um, but off the top, I have to go Jay-Z, Drake, Biggie, Pac. I'm a West Coast kid, Snoop Dogg, and I love Nipsey Hussle a lot. So those are some of my favorites for sure.
Yeah, well, mine is Jay-Z, Biggie, Pac, just
I love
all
it.
the hip hop. I love. Just you got to give a lot of props to Drake because he's constantly bumping out hits left and right. I mean, every one of his tracks is off the charts, and he's always coming up
Always.
with the quantity of music that he comes up with is just it's incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah, he's
So
had I think he's had the greatest run of any artist probably since like Michael Jackson. So you got to give it
yeah,
to him.
yeah, Michael or Prince back in the day. Although Prince was not hip hop, he's more R&B, but
Of course,
just
yeah.
incredible. And Biggie would have been absolutely incredible if if his if tragedy didn't strike, and of course Pac,
Yeah.
but it's pretty interesting to talk about music and the hip hop culture and how it shapes our lives. And music is such an important part of the mental game too. I'm sure
Oh yeah.
before games
All
you
those
would.
guys have won me some matches, let me tell you.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Um, um, what for you has been? Talk about your favorite match, or as we talk in the podcast, what is your biggest can-do moment? Where for me, I'll say, one of the reasons why why we started Keto Crisp is because I
Mhm.
lost 80 pounds on a keto diet. And I had
Wow.
never really been on a diet before. And I
Mhm.
really call it a lifestyle. And it's really 85% diet and then 15% exercise. But it really, really worked well for me. And I would say personally that was my biggest can-do moment. And life has always been about, for me and for our team at Keto Crisp, life is about what we can do, not what we can't. And we focus on can-do things. So,
Yeah.
Gabe, talk to me about your biggest can-do moment where you're
Oh
like,
man,
wow.
I think you're gonna get a kick out of this one. So this was the US Open of pickleball in Naples, Florida. It's every year. So this is a pretty big tournament. It's the equivalent of the tennis US Open for pickleball. So kind of a long story, so bear with me. So I get in, the tournament singles starts on, I think this was like April 19th. Don't quote me, it was that Saturday. So I
No
get
problem.
in, I take the red eye in Thursday night. So I get in late Thursday. Actually, no, sorry. I took the red eye. I get in Friday morning. Sorry. And I practice with one of my friends, Frank Anthony Davis, who's a top 10 pro. And coming from Cali, you live out here in SoCal. It's beautiful. We got 80-degree weather. Maybe whatever, 15% humidity. So I get into Naples, and it's about 86 degrees and probably 65% humidity. So it's muggy. So I practiced the day before, just trying to adjust to conditions, and I was feeling pretty good. And then next day, I'm playing my first round match, and I mean this in the most respectful way. I'm kind of playing a scrub. I don't remember who I was playing, so forgive me. And I won the first game pretty easy. Second game, I made it a lot harder than it should have been. I think I won like 17-15 in the second game. And for those that don't know pickleball, it's 2 out of 3 to 11. So I had to grind it out the second game. And at the time, I was telling my ex-girlfriend, I was like I I said, I eat very clean. So that morning, I'll never forget, I had a cup of Starbucks coffee. I had a brown sugar oatmeal from coffee and some fruit. So I didn't eat too heavy. I never eat heavy before matches. So I was feeling good. But I was telling her, I was like, something in my stomach, I don't feel good. I feel like I'm going to throw up. So then the second match, I actually play my buddy Frank, and we have a long match, but I win, I think, like 6-4. And now I'm on to play Ben Johns, the #1 pickleball player in the world. And this is the semifinals of our bracket. So the way it works is if you lose, you go to losers bracket, but you can still come out and play for third place. It used to be if you went to losers bracket, you could play all the way for first or second, but the US Open, they cut it off at third. So if you lose and go to the losers bracket, or they call it the opportunity bracket, the best you could do is win third place. So this is the what I can do part. So I win the first game 12-10, right? And everyone's hype. I won the first game off the #1 player, right? Everyone's watching. We're in the back court, and we probably got the whole arena like watching us on this little court. And then second game, I'm down 3-0, and we have this insane rally. Like Ben drop shots me, and I chase it. He sends me back to the baseline. I do a tweener. He sends me back up to the kitchen. And then I ended up doing like a 360 and trying to I get to the ball, and then he pushes me back one more time, and I sprint. I get to the ball, but I lose the point. And then I just sit in the corner, and in pickleball, you get your own timeouts. So I had 2 timeouts. So I take a timeout, and I'm laying there in the corner, and I actually have the photo of this. And then like 10 seconds later, I just throw up on the court. And
Okay.
then so I go out the court, and they actually call like the physio because like I said, it was so hot and humid. He wanted to make sure I was just okay. And it was funny. So my ex at the time, my ex-girlfriend, she was like, "Oh my God, what does this mean? Like, are we done? Or like you lose, we're going home?" And I just looked at her and I'm like, excuse my language. I was like, dude, I didn't fucking fly out here from LA to quit. You know what I mean? So
Of
they
course.
gave, they gave me some electrolytes, they gave me water, and then he did like the finger test just to make sure I was okay. And I'm like, dude, I'm fine. Like, get me on the court. Like, he's like, you get a 15-minute window. And I was like, dude, I just need like 10 minutes. Like, just get me back on the court. So he beats me the second
Love
game.
it.
I lose the third game. I was actually up 7-4. So I was almost, it's game to 11. So I almost had him to beat him. Anyways, I lose the match. So I'm in the back draw now, right? And most people, especially at the US Open, they either withdraw from the back draw because nobody wants to grind it out and play the whole day. Or they just, they just lose in the back draw. So I'm in the back draw. So I ended up playing another 5 more matches, and then I ended up playing for third place, which I ended up winning. But I would say that was my moment because we started that day at 8:30 in the morning. I didn't get off the court till 5:30 in the afternoon, and I didn't give up. And
Just you
I could have
never
easily thrown in the
quit.
towel. Yeah, exactly. Never quit. I could have easily just thrown in the towel and just called it a day, but there was no chance. That's like, for me, that's not even an option. So.
Not an option. And you know what? You've learned so much from it, which is so
Yeah,
awesome. The resolve, the patience, the hustle that you talked about earlier. We all
yeah,
needed to succeed. Just the will to never give up. And even in a loss, you've learned these tremendous lessons.
yeah.
Which is
So
really incredible. So
yeah, no, that was for me, I would have to say that's honestly one of my proudest moments too, because like I said, it most people, it would have been so easy just to just sit there and give in and just be like, well, I'm done, but like I said, and literally, like, even in life, unless I'm like incapacitated or honestly dead, like I'm not going to give up. You know what I mean? Like there's no reason not to hustle, so that's just
correct.
kind of my spirit.
Well, I love your spirit. I'm so happy to have you on the podcast today and talk to you for a few minutes. I'm really, really excited to learn more about pickleball and follow your career. It's funny, one of my coworkers, I told him that I was having you on today, and his
Mhm.
dad is a pickleball player in Florida. And he's like, "Oh, I know Gabriel Joseph. That's so
Uh,
great."
who is your friend's dad?
Um, you know, my friend is Nicholas Martinez, and I think his dad is Nicholas also, but I'm not sure, so I apologize, Mr. Martinez.
Gotcha.
I know, just a great guy and been playing pickleball for a while, but his, like I said, so it was kind of cool and super
Yeah.
excited to be a part of it and learn more, and
No,
you
it's awesome.
know.
Like I said, it's such a small community and following, so that's awesome that he knows who I am. That's cool.
Yeah, no, it's great. And, so I was super excited to have you on. How do people get a hold of you? How can people follow you? I know that go talk about your social media handle, and there's a question about that I want to ask.
Yeah. So for anyone wanting to follow me on Facebook, it's just my name, Gabriel Joseph. Instagram, Twitter, Baby Curios, BabyKyrgios, and then you can follow the podcast at Safety Third. And yeah, if you hit up my IG, I think my email's in the link, so you can reach out, or even if you just message me on Instagram, I'm pretty good at getting back and responding. So yeah, it's the easiest way to follow me, I would say.
He's very good at getting back and responding. Loves to interact with his fans. Great, great guy. How did you? Why Nick Kyrgios? He's a great player, got great energy. Talk to me about that. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, so it's funny. I've been asked this a lot, and it's funny. On one of the podcast episodes, I told people, everyone calls me Baby K on tour. But anyways, the story behind the Instagram handle is this was back in 2015. I didn't have Instagram yet. I was a senior in high school, and I was just like, I want to come up, I want to get it up, I wanted to make an Instagram, but I was like, I want to make a cool handle, and I was like, I don't want to be like Gabriel Joseph 1 or whatever, Gabriel Joseph 1997. So I was like, what's a cool handle? And at the time, like a lot of people would tell me I look like Nick Kyrgios. You know, I had the haircut, the design, I had the earrings, and they would say I kind of played tennis like him. So I was like, at the time, Grigor Dimitrov, they would all call him Baby Federer. So I was like, you know what? I'll just be Baby Kyrgios. And then funny story is I reached out to Nick Kyrgios a bunch, and he still follows me on Twitter on my old account. And I got to meet him a couple times. I met him at Indian Wells back in 2015. And then I would constantly reach out to him and he would actually respond. So I love Nick for that. But yeah, that's kind of how I got the name, and it just stuck, you know. And now everywhere I go, especially on the pickleball tour, like obviously they know Gabriel Joseph, but everybody calls me Baby K. So I don't think I'll ever be able to get away from it.
Oh, that's a great story. And it's awesome that he's, become a friend of yours, kind of.
Yeah, and the thing is, I like Nick a lot because as much as he's known for his antics and whatnot, I'm not all agree with all that. I like what he brings to the sport. He's very diverse, charismatic, and I think in tennis and even in pickleball a little bit, it can get a little robotic where the players are kind of not monotone, but not as like outgoing. And sometimes like I'm a little guilty of this. They're like so professional where they're like very just professional, very like locked in and honed in. So me, like if you watch my
You
matches,
got swag, baby. You got swag.
yeah, well, not only the swag, but I like to engage with the crowd. I like to entertain. Like, it's meant to have fun. You know what I mean? It's not to just be serious, robotic, mechanical. Like, you know what I mean? So that's a part of it too of why I chose the IG handle and to be like Nick. But everyone asks me, they're like, well, you can't be Baby K forever. Like someone had asked me this, they're like, what are you going to be when you get like mid-20s? You can't be Baby K. They're like, what are you going to be, midlife Kyrgios? And I'm like, I don't know. So eventually I'll have to change it. But for now, it's Baby K.
It works, baby. Don't change a good thing,
Exactly.
Just do what you do.
Exactly. So we're gonna roll with it for now.
I love it. And again, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. I'm super excited to have you as part of the team, and I look forward to following your career. We as a company do, and it's gonna be awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Of course, it's been a pleasure being on the platform, and we got to get you on the pickleball court hitting a few balls. So it'll be.
I can't wait.
It'll be a good time.
All right, man. Well, we'll talk to you later. Have a great rest of your day, and thank you so much. And take care, everybody. Have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you, brother. You have a good one.
You too, buddy. Thank you so much.
Of course.